All right. Let's see. Who did we get? Oh, uh-oh. My Zoom got minimized. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry about this. There we go. Looks like we got someone named Patrick, and we got Glenn and Ed.
Bonjour, yeah.
Hello.
Hi, from Germany.
Hi, Patrick. Welcome. This is your first
Hi,
time,
Josh.
I think, right?
We saw before, actually, in Jake's classes and actually also in Greg's classes. But I never switched my video on.
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we can get right down to business. As usual, I didn't have anything specific that I want to talk about, although I'm sure I can think of things. But I like to turn it over to you guys first and say what Rholang has been on your mind, or what have you been working on the past week or two that you'd like to take a look at, either to ask questions or to share something cool that you learned.
Well, I'll fess up. I've been doing no Rholang the last 2 weeks, but I'm making some progress on talking to nodes with protobufs and so forth. So I'll get back to Rholang soon. So that's
wonderful. Fine. Yeah, that's great. I bet you do enough talking to nodes, they're going to want to start talking Rholang eventually.
Exactly. I'm within a week. I think I'm going to be talking Rholang to the nodes.
Awesome.
Programmatically, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so who did we gain? Looks like we got Gary. Welcome.
Thank you.
So one thing we did last week was we did a car example to really illustrate how object capabilities worked. We could jump off there and do some exercises in terms of like adding new methods or something. Any opposition to that plan?
Good for me. But this morning I was trying to do some negations with patterns, specifically your apps contract, Joshy. And I couldn't have like any negation of not integer. I tried to do that, but I got the syntax error.
Sounds like you've got something you want to show us.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Cool. Yeah. Give it a show. We'll talk about it.
All right. Let me do share screen. This one. Yes, so you can see this on like the right side of my screen. Wait.
Yeah. Can you zoom in?
This is like the apps contract of this. Well, you started with that, and I added like one more thing here on line 11, which is giving like an error message if not integer is provided.
Yeah, Rinky, could you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah.
Please. Oh yeah, sure.
As much as you can. Thank you.
Let me do it like this. Better?
Yeah, that looks good. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, so line 11 is printing something on a return channel if no integer is provided.
Mm-hmm.
This checks for being a string or being a bool, being a byte array or URI. But I would like to do something like not int, because that will be much more concise, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah, so
not if it's possible.
That's a very interesting question, and we'll see. Looks like you're doing it pretty close to what I would have expected, but let's give everybody a summary of what we're working on. The apps is absolute value, right? And then the main part, like if you're using it right, the part that's supposed to run is lines 2 through 9, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So Rinka, can you give us a little tour of how that code works?
This one, yeah, sure. So it's being invoked on line 16, like you see it here. Well, basically, it's just listening on the apps channel for getting two processes, right? And the first one is this one, which is a bit difficult for me to understand. But anyways, this is, if it's an integer, then bind this integer to whatever input. And this is just a return channel. And here we check for whether the input bigger than 0, then we return whatever was in the input. And if it's not bigger than 0, then we return minus input, so we always get the absolute value. And then you see here 5 returns 5, 0 returns 0, and yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, that's great. And so the problem that you're trying to solve is like on line 21, you kind of are, and line 20 also, you're testing this thing.
Yeah.
like the first three tests look normal. You gave it an integer and it gives you back the positive version, and that's all normal, as you just explained. But like on lines 20 and 21, you pass in kind of weird input, right? A string on line 20 or a Boolean on line 21. And so the new contract, the one on lines 11, 12, 13 is where you're trying to handle that, right? Basically tell the user in a friendly way, like, dude, I can't take the absolute value of true. That's not even a number. Okay, cool. So the U-shaped character or V-shaped characters that you're making out of the backslash and the slash, how do you read those?
It's like or. So
yeah, bingo. Those are logical connectives for or. And so basically, what we're looking at here is he's trying to pattern match on anything that is the quote. That's why we have that @ sign of a string or a bool or a byte array or a URI. And nothing looks obviously wrong to me about that yet, Rinka. But do you want to run it and show us what output you get?
yeah, well, this runs correctly. So let me. Well, I have it actually here.
Oh, this does run correctly.
This does run correctly, but I would like here I'm defining it in a way as like if it is a string or if it is a bool or if it's a byte array, but I would like to write something like not int. And
I understand. Make that text a little bigger in your terminal so we can appreciate it for a sec.
Wait, difficult.
Okay. So it looks like we got 2 of them that said no integer provided. That's the string and the bool. And then the other ones we got 0, 5, and 5, and that makes sense for what we had line 17, 18, 19 testing.
Yeah.
Quick question for the field. I'm sure Rika gets this as you wrote it. Why are those lines out of order?
Because they're happening randomly in parallel, non-deterministically in parallel, right?
Concurrency, bingo. Oh yeah, we've got some noise from the other meeting. If someone could mute, yeah, nice. Okay, very good. Okay, so let's give this a try. I have a guess about how we can do this. And how about this, Rinka? Let me take the share for a sec. We'll try it out and see what we get. And then if we get it working, then we'll go back to yours and you can make that change in your code.
Yeah.
So, whoops. Here's a new file. And we'll start with something simple. We'll just call this like new is it num? Like is it a number? That's what this thing is supposed to tell us, this contract. And so we'll start out basically the same way. We'll build a contract on is it num? And this thing is going to take in maybe a number. We don't know. And it's also going to take in a return channel, just like Rinka's did. And then we'll write some tests for it down below. We haven't actually written this thing yet. So down below we can do like, is it num 5? That one should be true. Oh, and we got to give it a return channel too, right? Okay, that looks good. And then we'll give it a test in the other way too. Is it num of true? Okie doke. So we want to get one of these that says true and one that says false. So what we have to do is we have to pattern match on these things. And so let's start by doing the one that's supposed to be true. So we can do @int, I guess. And so the pattern matching here, we've talked about pattern matching a little bit before. I know that's one of Gary's favorite things to talk about. And so this is an interesting use of it also. The pattern that we're going to match here is supposed to be anything that is a quote. Well, that's always going to be true because you always receive names and names are always quoted processes. And then the more interesting part is it has to be a quote of an integer. It can't be a quote of some like really interesting, complicated process. It can't be a quote of a string or anything like that. And so let's just test this part first. Return, well, we'll just return true because it was an integer that time. Does that look right so far? Did I make any mistakes here?
You missed the bang on line 7 and 8.
Oh, I always miss that. Very good. So let me save this. I'm just going to save it on my desktop as numtest.row. And then I'll run it. I'm still running this old school way with the node and everything. So I'm going to our node run standalone. And then over here in my desktop, we can our node eval. Let's just see. I don't want to run it too early. My node is still starting. Okie doke, that looks good. So I ran it. Ran, and it gave us true. Okay, so nothing surprising, and I don't think I've answered Rinka's question yet, right? This is the part that you already had working. So now here's the part, the new part, where we're going to try to run a separate contract if we send anything other than int, because even though we sent this thing on line 11, it didn't run this contract. They're on the exact same name. They're on isItNum. So if all we knew was that when you send and receive on the same name, they should make a COM event, then it's like, well, what the heck happened? But the restriction is that we didn't send the correct pattern. We didn't send something that matched a quoted int.
So is it fair to say that it's actually a different contract because it has a different signature? So
Ooh, that's a great question. I like the way that sounds. I don't know if I've heard anyone use that language before.
It seems like it would be. So you could have another isItNum with another set of arguments, and it would, I think, be treated differently.
Absolutely, yeah. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have another one with the exact same name with different patterns here, different signature, and they'll, ideally our goal is they'll match different things.
Cool.
Okay, good. So here's the part Rinka's asking about, and I believe the syntax is this, but I'm guessing there's a chance that he's going to say, like, I tried that and it didn't work, and then I'm going to be like, shoot, I don't know. Okay, is this exactly what you did, Rinka?
Well, maybe I put tilde on another place. I think I did it before the curly bracket, so this might work.
Oh, like this.
Yeah, without
yeah, this is not going to work. Isn't that an irritating difference? I struggled on that for a long time too. For whatever reason, the logical connectives, like you had used one that looks like this, and there's another one that looks like this, and now we're trying to use tilde that means not. Those only work on process patterns, which means you have to put them inside the quote because int is a process pattern.
So Michael Birch on the channel was saying that the word NOT is treated differently than the tilde, and I'm wondering if not here might work.
Let's try it out. I think this is the one we want here because this is the one for pattern matching with process patterns and NOT and AND, and those are the Boolean ones for like, I would do false AND true or something to do Boolean operations that way. We should look at both of those actually. In fact, maybe I'll have someone else do an example of that. So we'll just see if this works. Whoops. Unrecoverable syntax error, line 12, position 3. Oh, does anyone see what it is? It goes right here.
A par.
Yeah, the missing par. Yay, all right, we got it.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so, Rinka, we're going to give you the screen share back, and we're going to see if you can get yours to work. Because mine was a toy example. Yours is a more complex real-world example, and so let's see if we can fix it too. You're muted, though.
I'm just looking for the screen share.
Yeah.
Share screen. No, here it is. And I want to share this one. Share screen. All right, so this can be away. That must be here. Contracts, apps, and then ads. Not int return
Nice.
return five. This must work, right?
That looks nice. Yeah, I think that's going to work.
Okay.
Oh, except you made the same little tiny error that I made, forgetting that par on like 13 or 14.
Yeah. Okay, I'm setting up my node, and now I'm running it. How do we zoom in on the terminal so you can also see it?
Control plus, that looks like Ubuntu, right? There we go.
Yeah. No.
No? Oh, no. It's okay. We can squint.
It says unrecoverable syntax error, and it's on line 11.
Oh, I hate that equal sign. So easy to forget.
Yeah, that works. There you go.
We're not seeing your output. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay, great. So what we really should do now is, that worked, and that's super awesome. But your old code worked too. And so what would really be great is if we could come up with a test case that works on the new code but doesn't work on the old code. Because otherwise it's like, well, maybe it looks prettier, but it didn't really gain us anything. But there are things we could send here that will work with your new code and not with your old code. Can anyone think of something like that?
Float or double or something like that.
Oh, that's a great point, Ed. The only problem is Rholang doesn't have floats or doubles yet.
Okay.
But you're exactly right. Anything that he didn't list on line 16 will do. Since we don't have floating points yet, we got to think of something else. So what kind of stuff can I send? Definitely strings and bools and byte arrays and all that stuff Rinka listed.
About a quoted process or something.
Bingo, yeah, arbitrary quoted processes. So if we we can send arbitrary processes and then we receive the quote of those processes. So we can send any old process like, at nil, send nil or something. Does that make enough sense that you want to give it a try, Rinka, or should we?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, cool, nice.
Well, let me then just remove this one and just see whether it indeed doesn't work on the old one.
Yeah, good idea.
I can call this one new apps, wrong apps.
Nice.
Apps new. Wrong apps. Oh no, that's not. Is it correct like this?
You forgot your return channel for one thing, but also 0 is just an integer. The stops process in Rholang is nil.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Ted, I see in the chat. Good question. By the way, come off mute. Yeah, Ted's asking in the chat, what is the up arrow and down arrow that we're making out of the slash characters there? Anybody want to take a stab at that?
Well, it means and or.
Yeah, bingo. The up arrow one looks like it means and the down arrow one means or. My mnemonic, because I used to always get those confused, so I have a silly little mnemonic. The up arrow one kind of looks a little bit like the first half of or like an A, and so that's the one that means and. That's how I remember.
Awesome, thanks.
I can help with another one. I mean, just imagine you're opening your arms and choosing between the alternative on the left or on the right. That's an or decision. And if you join your arms to a kind of upward arrow, that's kind of bringing both of these together. And that's kind of the difference. That's what I use.
Yeah, very, very nice.
So in math, can you combine the two? Like if you add them, are they mutually exclusive?
The ands and ors?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can combine them in all kinds of interesting ways. I don't remember which one is higher precedence, like in terms of order of operations. So parens would probably be a good idea. Or actually in Rholang, it's curly braces. But yeah, you can build up arbitrarily complex expressions out of those.
Cool, thank you.
The third member of the trinity of logic is that tilde, the not symbol.
So is the pattern that's being matched, is it a quote of the process, like a name variable and type int, or is that?
Which line are you looking at?
So like line 2 here of contract ABS. So we've got an at sign that's a quote of curly bracket.
Yeah, that's a confusing one. So that's a harder one to read. So here's how it goes. That's an and symbol, as you mentioned. And that means in order for that contract to run, the first, like that one that's the real absolute value, like when you use it correctly and give an integer, whatever you give has to match both patterns. It has to match input and it has to match int. Well, the int part makes sense, right? We only want a number. That's what we've been talking about all morning. The reason we did this and part is because we actually wanted to bind the variable input to whatever number we passed in, like the 5 or the 0 that he's passing in down below. If we just did contract abs of at int, that would match correctly, but then we wouldn't have anything to call the number inside the function. Like we want to call it input so that I can do stuff like if input greater than 0. So in order to do that, we have to have two patterns. One, the second one, which is make sure it's an int, and also the first one, which will actually bind a name to that int.
Yeah, yep. I get that. It's the curly brackets around the whole thing and the at sign outside of it that is what
I gotcha.
Makes me question. I think when you put curly brackets around something, I think you're saying it's a process. You can create, like, I think you can, I should try that, but I think you can just do curly bracket. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, so the curly bracket and then grouping character for process. There's nothing too important going on with the curly brackets. That's just how you group. Those are the parentheses for process expressions. So you don't have to read too much into those. The at sign is quoting that process. Well, in this case, it's a process pattern, and making it into a name pattern by putting the explicit quote out front. And the reason we need that is because when you send, like on line 22, when he sends 5 is a process, but it gets quoted, and what we get on the other side is a name of, like, it'll be at 5 in this case.
Yeah, I just wonder.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that's only a process that would work in a pattern context. It's not a process that would, because most patterns are like a process. They just have holes. In my understanding.
Yeah, that's right. The whole, so the one on the right doesn't really have any holes. Int is just a primitive type, and the fact that we wanted one with a hole, that's why we have that input 1 on the left. So we'll think about it more and do some more examples like that. Yep. Let's Rinka, have you run this code for us yet?
Yeah, I'll do it now.
Cool.
Wait, syntax error, huh? On line 29.
Trailing par on 27.
Yes, sure. Here. Oh. It says 3 times no integer provided, so that's indeed as expected.
Yeah, great. Okay, cool. So that worked with abs, with the new one, right? That's cool. And presumably that might not have worked before.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to the chat here so that I don't have to take Rinka's screen back. Another thing that we could have sent is something more complex. Like we could have done, I'm just going to type a line of code here real quick. Where'd my chat window go? All right, take a look at that, Rinka. See if you can run that one for us and see if it goes. Or maybe I like letting other people drive. You should give it a go.
Let's share screen again. See, you gave me this.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so it's also, it works.
No integer provided, right? Okay, cool. So the beauty of this contract he did on line 11 and 12 is it will truly, it'll match anything at all that's not an int. Even like interesting, the one I just sent is really, it's a small one, but it's a whole program, right? It's not just a literal value or something. So yeah, very cool.
I have one more question related to this. What is a byte array and what's a URI?
URI is just what it is in general. It's kind of like a URL. It's a way to like access a resource. I don't know what it's going to be in Rholang, to be honest with you. I think it might be one of those things we use with the registry, like row IO standard out or like row registry pub key. I honestly don't know. But a byte array, I do know. A byte array is everything that you can possibly construct in Rholang, like every valid term, has a way to be serialized. So the technical way that they do that is using protobufs. But you can access those serialized bytes by calling to-byte array on just about any object, and then that's what it gives you back is a byte array. So let me see. I can, if you want to give me the screen share back for a sec, I might be able to do one of those.
There you go.
Let's see if I can figure one out here. So I'll save this on my desktop. So let's just see if we can come up with one. Standard out in this. And so then I'll do something like print hello world dot to byte array. I think that is gonna work. Let's just see. What was that called?
You got a typo inside.
Oh, I have a typo in the file name. Do I have a typo in the code too? No.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I do. It didn't
you do.
What did I do wrong here?
You get the Y and the T swap.
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
BTY.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and look, let's investigate how that failed too. This trips me up a ton, and it would have tripped me up now if not for your guys' help. It's still, like, the program still ran. It didn't, like, crash or say syntax error or anything like you would have expected. It said this little tiny thing that's, like, super easy to miss right here. Unimplemented method, batai array. So let's try that again. Okay, so there we go. So it prints out as a hex string, and this is basically the underlying protobuf serialization of this string, hello world. So we can, oh, and notice notice there's no quotes here. So this is different than like if I just typed in these characters as a string. That's how you know it's an actual byte array. Okay, cool. Where would you guys like to go next? We haven't had an exercise for everybody to try in a while. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Joshy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Joshy, could I just continue that one for just a second?
Yeah, please.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, yes. Let me give the screen share up. Go for it.
Is it working?
It looks like it's gonna.
Are you able to see it?
Yep.
Okay. So just this line here. So I was getting at trying to understand this.
Yeah.
And so you can just, these are valid to just create, right? This is actually valid Rholang. I don't know what it means though.
You can't send
like outside of a pattern.
You can't put a pattern in a send. So like on line 21.
It runs fine.
Oh, it does. Oh wow. Oh, so maybe I don't fully understand it. Let's see how it works.
Yeah, this is what I was, so my understanding of pattern matching is like you're giving it a process that I'm sorry if I use process incorrect. I believe it's process. So you give it a process that the pattern matching says, okay, I'm going to try to match these two processes, like go through the representation of the two processes and like kind of side by side compare. It's like query by example is the way I see it. So if you give it a 1 on the left side, so to speak, that's your example, and then whatever came in that was the variable from on that channel, if it's also a 1, those two equal each other, and so it matches. And so if you give it just a variable, then that's a thing that can hold anything, and so it matches anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I'm just trying to get my head around.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get my head around, like, okay, so this is a process that has, is it 2 processes, or is it just one process that is it's okay if you don't have the answer. It's just I played with this and it does compile. It comes back with false. So there's 3 falses and 1 true, and so which makes sense. Only this one is coming back with true, and these 3 are coming back with false.
Yeah, so that all sounds basically right, Glenn. The only one that I'm surprised about is line 21. I didn't think it would allow you to send a process pattern like that, but I guess it did. But as you then noticed, that process pattern did not match int, and thus it didn't match on line 7.
You shouldn't be able to send a pattern.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. But he's saying it ran, right? Can you run it for us, Glenn?
Yep, runs fine. Sure.
And then a question I have is, what happens if you overload a contract? Doesn't the deploy catch that? I mean, you could obviously just desugar it and then run it twice, but.
So where's the output from this, Glenn?
Yep. Right here.
Oh,
3
cool.
falses and a true.
A node, right? Yeah, you're right. So I'm not sure why it allowed you to send the process pattern there. I don't know of any use cases where that would be a helpful thing.
It would be very useful in a lot of ways, but unfortunately you can't do it.
Well, I mean, he just showed that you can, right? So what are some ways you're thinking it's useful?
You can do stored queries.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, a lot of really crazy, weird stuff you can do, but you can't. I mean, according to Mike, you can't. So just process.
You mean like we won't be able to in the future?
Yeah.
Because I see. Okay.
Only.
Well, anyway, regardless. Well, I think this is a process, but okay. Well, anyway, take that for whatever it is. That's.
It'd be cool if you could. So.
I don't have any. I don't exactly.
Oh yeah, I don't think. I mean,
I don't exactly
think you can say like you can't. It would be cool if you would, because you just demonstrated that we can. Like maybe if that's a bug or something they're trying not to have in, that's a different thing. At least at the moment, though, apparently you can, which I didn't know. I also thought that wasn't going to work. So. Okay, so but someone had a question. I don't know the voice yet. I think that might have been Patrick. Had a question about overloading the contracts, right?
That was me.
Cool. Yeah, what was that question again?
So isInt is overloaded here, and something I've noticed is that the behavior of it being it should be pick one, pick the other randomly.
Yeah. So if they're overloaded with the same exact signature, then yes, it's non-determinism, and you don't know for sure which one you're going to get. In this case,
so that doesn't seem to work right now. Non-determinism in general doesn't seem to work right now.
Oh, let's see if we can make it work. I think we did it the other day, but we'll try again. One thing though to point out here is this one is not non-deterministic.
I can do it right here. I could just copy this. Let's do like this one.
Yeah, cool. So now we've got two overloaded contracts that are both going to match not int. And yeah, nice. And we'll get different pieces of output. And so we've got three things that are going to match non-int. And so we could, in theory, have a couple different pieces of output.
Yeah, we had two falses and one hit the it is me and then the other true.
Cool. So the true one was not non-deterministic. We knew that was going to be true because there was only one that matched there. But the falses and the it is me, those were non-deterministic. Does that seem right? Okay, cool. Okay, well,
thanks.
let's, yeah. Thanks. By the way, I really appreciate it when you guys share your screen too. I think it's a lot more interesting that way and more fun for everyone. So in that same spirit of getting everyone involved, I wondered if we could continue with last time's example and maybe give a little exercise to everybody here. So if you're not actively running
I'm trying to
Rholang,
figure out how to stop.
there you go.
Okay.
Nice, thanks, buddy. If you're not actively running Rholang yet, you've got a couple of options for how you might be able to do that. One is to use that tool that Glenn just showed us, which is called CryptoFacts, and you can download it from cryptofacts.io. Another option, well, that loads up. Another option is rchain.cloud. And this just allows us to run directly through the web interface. And then the last option is if you have a full node installed, you can do it just from your terminal like how I was. So those are three pretty good options for completing this. And I want to pull up last week's car code. I wonder if I saved that. It's at least in Discord logs, but let's see. Here we go. So this is something we wrote last week. It's a little longer than I remembered, but I'll give a quick tour and then we'll do a little work on it. So the basic idea is that this contract that starts on line 3 and goes until line 13 represents a car dealership where you can buy a car. And so when you're ready to buy a car, you call it up and you give it a name like Joshy and just a return channel, just like we did in every other example so far today. And what the salesperson does is gives you back a key. So you can see the salesperson creates a key here and sends it right back to you on your return channel. And then at the same time, the salesperson does something to that key. They give this key an object capability that allows it to actually start your car. So the salesperson builds a contract. It has star key. That means you can only call this contract if you have this unforgeable name key. And then the second one is just like what thing we want to do to that car, which is drive it. And then it prints out this this string like whoever is driving whatever car, basically. So here's a test for it. Starting on line 19, I call up the car dealership. I want to name my car Joshy's car, and I want to call it, and I just give an app channel. So this basically represents me going to be buying a car, and then I wait for something to come back on the act channel. So what is it that's actually going to come back? What does the dealership give me back when I buy a car?
Well, your key.
What was that?
The key.
Well, your key.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, both. Exactly. You're both correct. It gives me back the key. So when this 4 on line 21 comes back, it gives me a key, which I've called Joshy's key. So now I can do stuff with it. So on line 23 is where I actually take the test drive, the first official drive. So I call up this compound contract. It requires the key, and it requires what I want to do, which is drive. And then just to make this like a nice human readable example, we pass in a string of who's actually driving. And so line 23 calls up to this contract right here. It matches the right thing here, and then the string comes out. Joshy is driving Joshy's car. So I'll run this real quick, just so everyone can see how it works. All right, so David is driving David's car. Joshy is driving Joshy's car. Cool. Everything's good to go there. So here's the exercise for everybody. And I'll put this code in Discord so you can start from what I've done, so you don't have to type it all up yourself. Here's your exercise though. To do, create a second contract for selling the car. Now, it doesn't have to be anything like super fancy or anything. It can just print out a string that basically says like, Joshy is selling Joshy's car or whatever it is there. But then we'll make it fancier as we go. So I'm going to leave this as an exercise for everyone, and I'm going to put the code in Discord so you can grab it to start with. Is everybody here on the Colab server?
Nope, I'm not. How can I join?
No, okay, so for those of you guys who are not, is everyone on the pub Rchain server?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to drop this code in Rholang channel, and then I'm also going to drop an invitation to Colab, because that's where we do a lot of our like communicating during the week and stuff. So while you guys are starting that exercise, I'm going to grab the pointer for Colab.
Hey, Joshy?
Yeah.
Where did you find out about the string interpolation?
In the source code.
Of course.
Yeah. It's not documented well yet. I made a to-do item to put it in my tutorial, but I haven't done that yet either.
Okay. Do you have any kind of document that has all the features that you're aware of that might be hiding the code somewhere that need to be documented?
I'm happy that you asked. I will post this on Colab real quick. We just made a cheat sheet yesterday.
Excellent.
There you go. Okay, and let me dig that cheat sheet up. Although now that we're talking about it, I don't remember whether I have string interpolation on the cheat sheet. Shoot.
Oh, this is awesome.
I totally do. Yeah, on the right column. It's right there. And by the way, there may be mistakes or room for improvement on here. So if you guys have suggestions, by all means, send them over. I want to make it as good as possible.
Can you add that feedback channel to the cheat sheet as well, where you want to have it send it to? That would be great.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And are there more list operations than what you have?
These are the only ones that are currently implemented.
Okay.
I don't know whether there are going to be more. Yeah, like it would be nice if there was like at least contains or something, but there's not.
Or just adding an element to a.
Oh, there is.
Because you do plus, right? Plus for concatenation.
I should have had that. Yeah, so that's something that's missing. You're right. So there's no like dot append or dot insert or anything like that, but there is concatenation, which works just like this string concatenation with the plus operator.
And do you know if you can have lists inside of lists?
You can, yeah.
So all of the structures, you can have any structure inside, right?
As far as I know, I haven't actually tried that with sets and maps, but I don't see why that wouldn't be possible.
Okay.
Yeah, but definitely with tuples and lists you can.
And do you know if there's been anything written about what this compiles or how to represent any of these data structures in terms of real calculus?
Oh, that is a great question. I'm sure that people like Kyle and Greg have thought about that, but at the moment, these are actually not implemented in terms of row calculus. They're just like Scala lists and sets and stuff like that. which is, you know, probably good. They're going to be a lot more performant that way. But yeah, like academically, it would be really cool to see that stuff implemented directly.
Yeah. I mean, for a lot of my stuff, I'm not using this because just trying to get it as close to the metal.
Yeah. Okay, so how's anybody doing on the car exercise? If you have anything to share, either because it works and you're proud of it, or because you're stuck and want help, that would be awesome.
Joshy, do we have to do an integration test, or do we just need to make the contract?
Yeah, I'm only saying to make the contract, but you know, it's nice to see if it works. You could do like one little integration test.
I'm a little stuck.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and show, and we'll try to get you unstuck. Oh, sorry, I'm sharing right now.
I guess I can show it too. I can show it too, but I was thinking, I don't know how we disable the other key.
Let's see here.
Or are you not concerned about that?
I'm having a hard time unsharing.
So I'm thinking when you sell it, you transfer it.
Shoot. Ah, darn it. Can anyone who's the host here? Is Jim the host? I have a bug and I can't stop sharing my screen. Zoom's a little wonky. Okay, so sorry about this, guys. I'm going to jump out. I'm going to actually leave the call for a sec and come right back in so that other people can share their screen. So I will be right back.
And there he goes.
Nobody left his screen.
Yeah, it's funny to see the kill all Zoom. But maybe if somebody else, no, I can't. Nobody else can share right now, right? So it's stuck.
No, I'm not able to.
No, we can't. It's still locked. Joshy, for next time, killing Zoom is not stopping the sharing for any reason. So we need to wait for the timeout or for the host to move it.
Yeah, Jim is the host, and he's normally here, so he can just kick me off. Oh, nice.
Here we go with the timeout.
Okay. So I think Glenn, that was you that wanted to show, right?
Okay. So I got really far. I guess I was just thinking through. I guess I assumed part of the deal is that if Joshy were to hold his key, that you can't continue to drive after you sell it.
Ah, yeah. So you're saying, like, if I sell you my car, you don't want me to still be able to drive the car after I've sold it to you, right?
I have to hand over the keys. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good point. So we would need a method for like rekey or something like that to give the car a new key. For now, let's stick with the less secure method of I'm just going to give you the car and give you a key, and you're going to hope that I haven't made any copies that I'm holding on to myself. So that's actually kind of how it works in real world too. You know, if I sell you my car and give you my key,
yeah,
I might still have one, and if I come to your house and unlock it, there's not a ton you can do about that. All right, so if I'm going to sell my car, what do I need to know? Like, what information has to be passed in here?
Well, I have to give you the key.
Who? Yep. The person who the buyer, right? The buyer's channel.
So first, do you buy it do you buy it that this should be a contract sort of under car dealership?
Yeah. It has to be created inside of that lexical scope that starts on line 6. It has to be created somewhere where the key name still exists.
Okay, so I need to give. I see. So a capability is that Joshy can sell the car to somebody, to me.
To buyer.
That's the capability we're trying to do. I don't want to bore people by thinking through this. This is as far as I've gone. So
we're all thinking through it. If anybody else want to make a suggestion?
Can we just copy the code from line 5?
Yeah, that's probably a decent way to start. Like if we'll just make it print out, you know, like Joshy's key is transferred to Glenn or something like that, and then we can worry about the actual key transferring once we've gotten that far.
on line 5 or 12?
Yeah, 12.
I mean,
This looks great.
What's the RO?
2. It's just a typo. Right, is selling car to buyer.
okay.
Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good.
All right.
So now we're down at the bottom somewhere. We've just got to test that out.
The driver is Joshy. The buyer is Glenn.
Nice.
Do we buy this?
It looks like you buy it. Get it? Because you're buying the car.
I got it. Okay, I'm going to try it here. It compiles, it must work.
Cool.
Looks like you sold it before you even bought it.
Yeah.
Sell it again.
And Glenn, the thing you were worried about happened. I totally sold you my car and then drove it myself anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about this actually. Do we need to deploy it as a contract, or I think if we have a single channel and always change the key and resend the key to the driver, then we may secure that only one person is driving, and you cannot drive when you already sold it. You need to be a little bit more nested actually, but it should be more realistic. I have my smartphone, sorry. I cannot write anything here right now.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Okay.
But it would be a nice exercise. I can do it for next week if you want.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Absolutely. That sounds good. That sounds easier than trying to dictate the code to someone else who's typing it. I think that's a great idea. Good. Okay, cool. So what else should we talk about?
It seems like
today?
you need some state. It seems like you need some state as to who the current owner of the car is.
Yeah, so you
Maybe
could
not.
That's right. So this is a distinction now between like an access control list versus an object capability. So we could put up inside the car dealership some state channel that's like authorized drivers or something. And then it says Joshy in there when I buy it. And then when I sell it to Glenn, that list changes so that it takes me off and adds Glenn onto that list. And then maybe like if Glenn has a family member that he also wants to drive, he could add that or something. That's a little bit of a different paradigm called access control list instead of object capability. I see in the chat.
Well, you just revoke the capability. So instead of having the key always map through to print driver is driving the car, you just have something in between that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's the right way to do it. That's the right OCAP way to do it. Yeah, I'm excited to see your code on that next week. That actually sounds really fun. Okay, so we do only have 4 minutes. It's later than I thought, but I want to drop a link real quick to read about OCAPs. And it comes from the website erights.org. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll drop this in Discord right after we do this, right after we end this call. And I'll tag you guys. So is there any last thing we should talk about before we take off?
These sessions are awesome, Joshy. Was my first session to join, and I really, really enjoyed it. You're a great teacher, and it's really cool to see all the content you share. Thanks a lot.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Hey, and thank you guys. As always, thank you for coming, and especially thank you for coming today, because I know there was a conflicting node testing, so I really appreciate it.
I'm sure we come back, Joshy.
Awesome. I'll see you guys next week. Maybe I'll see some of you.
One quick note on the OCAP. Dan Connolly has collected a pretty good collection of resources. And
yeah,
awesome
Connolly's a great person to talk to about OCAPs. Yeah. Cool.
So.
Oh, I see your handle is Phaedrus. Is that your real name?
No, Theo.
Oh, Theo. Oh, cool. There's
Theo
a book, Zen in the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Have you read that book?
I have.
Is that where you took that name from?
It is.
Nice, dude. Very good. Very cool. All right, guys. Thank you for coming today. I'll see y'all next week.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Joshy.
Thanks, Joshy.
Follow the area. To this.